Hi everybody, welcome to Go Math 13.2 Area of Triangles. Today our essential question is how do you find the area of a triangle? Let's get started. So think back to when we did 13.1, the area of quadrilaterals. Here is our quadrilateral. And something to think about here is that if I cut this quadrilateral in half on the diagonal, I would have two triangles. Check it out. I have a triangle here, and I have a triangle here. So keep that in mind as we go through 13.2 today. Let's dive into finding the area of a triangle. Here we have our triangle, and just like when we were doing quadrilaterals, we are dealing with base and height. So my dashed line here is my height, and on the bottom is my base, of course. The formula that I'm going to be using today for finding area of a triangle is area equals 1/2 times the base times the height. So I'm writing that all together, 1/2 BH. And that would be 1/2 times the base times the height. All right, let's get started with our first try this problem. Get this formula written down. It is super important to have that one memorized as we move through chapter 13. So for our first try this problem, I'm going to be writing down my formula as I always do for each problem, so that when I just substituted my numbers, I have my formula right there handy. Area equals 1/2 base times height, and here I go with my solving. Area equals 1/2 my base. My base is 20, so I'm going to plug that in. And then I'm going to substitute in my height, which is 8. First, I'm going to take care of my 1/2 and my 20. So area equals 1/2 times 20. And since 20 is a whole number, I'm going to put it over 1. And when I multiply that out, I'm left with 20 over 2, which reduces down to the whole number 10. Now I'm going to take care of the second part of my problem. Area equals 10 times, and I'm taking my 8, 10 times 8. And when I multiply out 10 times 8, I have 80. But it's not just 80. I need to remember my units. In this situation, my units are meters. So I'm going to take my meters, and of course, I'm going to square it. So my area of the triangle is 80 meters squared. Let's try another problem. Here I have another triangle. I'm going to be starting with my formula as always. Area equals 1/2 base times height. I have my base down here of 12 and my height of 5. If it helps you to label them, you are welcome to label them every time. And here I go with solving. Area equals 1/2 times my base, which is 12, times my height, which is 5. Now I'm just going to work on the first part of my problem. 1/2 times 12. Since 12 is a whole number, I'm putting it over 1. Left with 12 over 2, which gives me the whole number of 6. Area equals 6 times, and now I need to bring down my 5 from up here. 6 times 5. Multiply out 6 times 5, and we have 30. The last thing we need to do is check our units, which in this situation we have inches. So I'm going to abbreviate that to IN. And square it since we're finding area. So my answer for this triangle is area equals 30 inches squared. Let's try one more that deals with decimals this time. Our last problem for today looks like this. It is a very skinny triangle, but you can see that the dashed lines here are showing us that the height is 14. My base is very tiny down here, but I can see that it is 8.5. And again, my formula to follow along there, area equals 1/2 base times height. Plugging in. And yes, I am dealing with decimals this time. Dealing with 8.5. So I'm going to take my 1/2 and multiply it by 8.5 over 1. You're left with 8.5 over 2, which gives you the decimal 4 25/100ths. Now I'm going to take that 4 25/100ths, also known as 4.25, and multiply that by 14. I'm bringing my 14 down. Last step, multiply those two together, you get 59.5. So I'm going to put 59.5. We're using decimals in geometry. Look for my label, which is inches for my units. Inches, and square it. And there you have it. The area of this triangle is 59.5 inches squared. Thanks for watching. Again, this was Go Math, Chapter 13, Lesson 2, Area of Triangles.